Didn't they? I think they put Rustin out on the movies. They put it in the theater so that it would be eligible for an Oscar.
Oh, I didn't know that. Now it was well acted. I thought the dude that played Rustin, I forgot his name already.
That dude's cold-blooded.
He was nice.
That Domingo guy.
Yeah,
he's nice with it.
He was very good in them. I mean, that's sort of my problem with these films. They have a lot of very talented people on and off screen. I don't think it was a bad film in the sense of a film. I just have issues with its political narrative. And that's what I think is the issue. And then you got, talented and attractive people, just making good content. It's like, man, them Obamas, boy. But they got us again.
So I remember this this quote by M.H. Wilson that talked about these buckers, they control the domains of discourse, right? So they set up what we argue about. And I just thought that this film would make us argue about his sexuality more than any other thing. And I feel like, well, I don't know if it's going to happen yet, but I feel like it could set people into defending his sexuality as opposed to his politics and any other stuff that we can get into, especially around this time, around the struggle in Palestine. But do you think that will be something that they led? I mean, will you think that's something that they would led with, or they made a lot about intentionally?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, to me, this is, I guess we starting now. But let me get my notes. But yeah, I think there's a lot of hustles being played here. So I have a number of notes, but just specific to that question, I'll just say to start that I felt, this is how good the movie I think is. I felt moved watching it. Like I got all of the, and especially as someone who's very interested in being given his due credit, the idea that someone would be denied credit for their overall contribution just because of their sexual orientation is disturbing to me. So the way they delivered that was brilliant. But this is sort of what my problem is, and this is where I've been, where I've adopted the woke imperium frame, that the desire to appease the need of an aggrieved group is being, just like it has been with the history that is at least theoretically central to the theme, that is the narrative or the subject of Black struggle. All of it is being presented in a way that supports empire. Mm-hmm. Now, especially in this time, and then especially watching it in conjunction with going back and reading another chapter or two in the Black Power and Palestine book, because Rustin is all up in that joint. I didn't even realize that at first. It feels almost entirely like there is a desire to almost sneak a Zionist supporting politic into a film about Black civil rights under the guise of it being a very centering the homosexuality of Rustin, and even almost going too far, per the discussion that we started yesterday on the remix with FD Signifier's recent thing. Like it almost went too far into, we're making this about the romance between this Black man and his white boyfriend. And it was so to the point of the FD Signifier piece from the remix the other day. If folks didn't see it, my point is that there is research that is new to me, published in 2020, and I shared in fact, it's the misrepresentation of interracial couples on television advertisements by Aaron Hackenmuller, a graduate thesis from the University of Alabama in 2020. That that details the way commercials have taken what is roughly a 19% occurrence of interracial relationships and magnified it to 50% in terms of commercials. But then when it comes to black men, when it comes to black men in particular, or when it comes to black interracial couples, they have to be posed with a white partner, even in homosexual relationships. So the distancing of black and white, even when they're, and then physically distancing, the study even goes into when it's black men and white women, the physical distance in the commercials, even among what are supposed to be couples, is literally greater. I mean, they did it. It's a fascinating study. So, but my point, so I don't know if I'm getting this, I'm doing this without my notes in front of me and without a script, but I'm saying, what I am trying to say is that I do think that they were, it does, because he was so pro-Zionist. So ultimately, my point is that I'm more interested in the politics. They're more interested in promoting a certain politics and approach to civil rights under the guise of promoting his homosexuality. And in so doing, they use characters like Adam Clayton Powell to condemn black power, to condemn black masculinity, to condemn even just a broad civil rights struggle and movement, never getting into the actual politics of the people involved. And then, as I'm going to come to in a minute, because I've been talking too long for this initial, when I'll fully explain this when I explain why I'm saying that the word picnic, to me, perfectly summarizes the political flaws in this film. But yes, I do think that they're playing games with the homosexual community. They're playing games with the black community, all under the guise of promoting a very state-friendly version of civil rights, and then particularly at this time, promoting a very pro-Zionist and aggressively pro-Zionist, pro-Israeli, even to the extent of contradicting his own pacifism. Bayard Rustin. So none of which is discussed in the film, but there's more. I'll stop there.
So definitely. So we're talking about Rustin, but I don't remember any international politics at all displayed in the film. So I
no, I'm saying, what I'm saying is that because I'm reading it with the chapter. Oh, I'm sorry. It's done indirectly. It's not on camera. You're right.
But so this Obama and the Obama production, right? Interestingly, as they would say, the goal of their production is to lift up black voices, or I'm sorry, diverse voices in the entertainment industry. Yet while producing a film of, would you say Randolph or King was the second leading star in that film? Because it seems like Randolph to me.
No, well, I think what they do, I think King is more, because they highlight more of the friendship that King has and his support for Rustin in the end. They play on that more, but they again do it in the context of King's support, for the most part, of a gay Rustin, but never in the context of a King's ever increasing radicalism. They talk about the 1963 march, which is the centerpiece, of course, but they never mention the fact that William O'Neill, working on the behalf of Hoover, already used that march to target King as the biggest threat in the country of bringing the Negro to communism, in direct contradistinction to their fears over the rise of the Cuban Revolution and King's increasing affinity already by 1963 for those politics. So none of that is in there because they want to reduce King to having him be seen as the focal point for the struggle within the civil rights leadership of accepting the very gay Rustin. And again, it was done well. I thought it was moving. I get it. I don't think it's an unimportant part of the story, but I think they're doing it on purpose to present themselves as offering some progressive media, but really doing the very old, tried and true undercutting of radical politics, of black power. And again, when I explain my picnic reference, I think it's gonna, to me, it's set book to reference the Spades game we was playing yesterday.
Right. So they didn't put your boy Kwame Ture in, but do you feel like they even showed a glimpse of Ella Baker's radicalism? Because it seems like they like
No,
just
I think they couldn't. And I even have a note here that they couldn't because she was pro Snick. And Snick in this film becomes the enemy. So
Yeah.
you can't have, and in Rustin's real life, Snick becomes the enemy. And reading that Black Power Palestine book, Snick, like he hates Snick. Like he hates Snick like the Klan almost, it reads like. So like
everything Black Power he hate.
but Snick in particular.
Yeah.
So Ella Baker's, even as they're having the scene where the sister who's the doctor, woman organizer of the women in the march, who's leading the vocal charge against the exclusion of women, even as they're having that discussion on camera, you don't see Ella Baker. Like Ella Baker's like on for like 2-3 scenes. She says 1, 2, 3 things. You get there's no suggestion of her power and importance to the history of the struggle and to her own radical politics and to her own allegiance with Snick. So you don't get any of the emergence of Snick or any of the politics of Snick. Black Power is dismissed by a brash young man being aggressive and hostile to the white boy and to Rustin's lover and to Rustin himself, to the one reference to Malcolm X that you get in the film, which is again, that brash, young, immature, violent, blah 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 blah. And then, by the way, that same character comes back later as a trainer for black cops on Rustin's behalf. So what they're doing here is it's very slick. It's very slick.
I wonder who that young man was supposed to be, like, because
all black radicals. That's all. But unnamed black male radicals.
Would that be
any of them? I think he's a composite of all of them.
Yeah,
he's meant to represent everything black masculine and black power. And he's not brought in line until he's training black cops to work peaceably for the march on behalf of Rustin.
That's community control of police. What you did, Diallo? Did you get to do your homework? I know you was boycotting this shit.
I didn't watch that shit. I just let y'all run with that.
Okay, my bad. Damn, I thought
it was the holiday. I thought I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Because you already know what's going on.
Oh, well, then I got more.
But here's one thing I can say, because of the movies I did watch, and I mean, we literally could take your commentary, Jared, and just dub in the name of the movie. Because, I mean, this is Black history curated by the Obamas. Like, seriously. We can take your commentary and just dub in the name of the movie and the name of the characters, and it's the same shit. Different toilet.
So, just quickly, this is the company, this is the Obama company that's delivering us all of this goodness. Higher Ground, which I'm assuming is a play on their friendship with Stevie Wonder. This is like more subtle black reference.
I always thought it was when they go low.
Oh, okay. My bad.
I didn't know. This.
No, you're probably right. You're probably right. I just am always thinking they're up to
get it wrong,
slick.
Diallo. When she said going higher, she mean like they was smoking when they made any of these films. They high as shit.
They've been busy as hell. The Obamas
they high.
I'm very busy. In
I don't even think that
ongoing assault on black folks. I mean, on the psyche of black people. Yeah. The Obamas, I mean, damn, they got us for 8 years. Can they just release us? Let my people go. I'm going to be the Moses to Obama's Pharaoh. Please let my people go.
No, this is going to be a permanent, like, abusive relationship. But I think you're right about the Higher Ground.
You should see the temple he's building over here in Hyde Park.
They got a movie coming out.
Obama is building a temple.
Oh, wow.
To himself. It is
that right there is trash too, by the way. That right there.
I looked at this maybe for a good 5 minutes straight last night.
Yeah.
The look on her face, like, to me, I think they messed up with this particular photo. I think this particular photo exposes the fraudulence of the shot.
Listen.
Look at the baby.
She's looking at him like, what is this fool doing with my kid?
Baby, and the baby looking at her like, you supposed to be responsible.
Exactly.
Why you got me all hemmed up with an international war criminal?
Exactly. And he's over here like with that fake Nobel Peace Prize smile, war criminal smile, saying, "Quick, get the shot," and then he probably pushed her right out the screen, right out the.
Right.
Hey,
Secret Service came and ushered them out the back.
Can one of y'all
Michelle, listen. Michelle came to Hyde Park earlier this year, and they locked down Hyde Park. The restaurant she ate at, they like blacked out the windows. And she ain't even been out the White House for almost 8 years. They didn't blacked out the windows. They had the whole shit on lock. They don't want nothing to do with black folks. They don't touch the ground. These people are in an alternative reality. Look at that weird ass puppet. So we sit here discussing their higher ground propaganda.
We are, and it is propaganda. Absolutely. It's psychological warfare at its highest.
What did we do to the Obamas? What did Chicago do to these people?
Oh, I'm gonna tell you what y'all did.
Just in the way.
We didn't. We got behind
you voted for Bobby Rush first.
That's the problem.
I wasn't even
voted for Bobby Rush first.
I didn't vote. I wasn't eligible to vote in state elections when that happened. I didn't move here after Obama was president. I moved here in 2008.
But this is the thing, Diallo. It's not. And if you watched Stamped, if you had done your homework, you would know the problem isn't black people. The problem is that black people think that black people have or have a problem. So it's not that black people are a problem for Obama. You're just in the way. It could be anything. Like I think megalomaniacs like that. I think people like that. It's not a particular roadblock. It's any roadblock. So he's like, I got to style myself for this black roadblock. And it's just like, y'all in the way. So I'm just going to keep, this is how I get to my 40-acre estate or whatever that thing is up there. This is how I get to.
He got it.
But this is how I keep it. This is how I get the next one. This is.
It's some weird shit. I wish they would leave us the fuck alone, man.
I agree.
The Obamas are a pox. I don't know what we did to deserve the Obamas.
You praise them. You put them on the back of your timelines and all this type of shit, and it's still we still here today, and people still putting them on the timelines.
I can't lie. I listen. My greatest shame is associated with Obama. So
if I can, let me just make 2 quick points more. I think I actually made all my points, actually, looking at my notes. Yeah. Let me just make 2 quick more points, and then because one of which is actually an interesting connection to my father, which I thought was interesting in the film. But the line "picnic," I don't know if anybody caught it this way, but there's a scene where the actor playing the real life character of Cleveland Robinson, the brother from the Caribbean, he's getting riled up when they're having an argument over who's going to be at the march and lead the march on Washington and this, that, and the third. And at one point, when they say it's only going to be this group of leaders and you're not in the room, something like that, he starts yelling and getting all, calling them out their name, talking about their mama. Yeah, and he's talking about their mama. And then he says the line, "You're going to turn this into a picnic."
Oh, yeah.
And I said, that caught my attention. And I said, that's the Obama effect right there. Mm-hmm. This is the little button pushing, and to Diallo, your point, why do they keep messing with us? Your little button pushing allusions to blackness and black history, but all out of context and for your disturbed purpose. When going back in the day when I used to pay very close attention to that early campaign in 2008, when he would make allusions to Langston Hughes without saying his name, make allusions to Dr. King without saying his name, all so that black people would get the signal, black people would get the dog whistle, so to speak. But white people would get it in a way that doesn't hurt their feelings. So in this scene, when he says the picnic line, that, of course, is famously the line that Malcolm X used to describe.
Message to the grassroots, right, yeah.
And, but because you can't have Malcolm actually included in the film, except for that one reference to disparage him and his politics, you can't have the context
in Malcolm in your shit.
Well, or you would have to pay the white company that owns his image. I remember.
So it might not be because they scared of Malcolm's legacy. It could be because they didn't want to put up more money. You got to pay to put King in your shit.
But you could do it without. My point is, you could do it without. You could do it actually without having Malcolm on screen if you put it in. If you put the argument in the mouths of other characters. But my point really is
that.
Sure
about that?
I think you could have.
Can't put King's words. King's words are trademarked and copywritten.
No, I'm not saying you would even have to do it. No, my point isn't to quote them verbatim. My point is to put the.
It's fucked up.
Diallo, hold on a second. Hold on a second, please. The point I'm trying to make is that you could the context in which Malcolm was saying the picnic line, the very internationalist, nationalist, radical politics that he was using to critique the march, they're being brought under the umbrella of the president's administration. They're being cajoled. They're being reduced into a non-threatening, blah blah blah. All of those arguments you could have mouthed by other characters in a scene if you really wanted to. You could have it put in the scene of people in the street. You could have it put in the mouths of characters in that room if you really wanted to. But the point that I'm getting at is they want to throw that little. I think these things are done intentionally to button push those of us who would know, or those of us who would get the cultural memory would kick in, and it would feel like something's happening. But in this scene, the context is watered down. It's very limited. It doesn't allow for the actual context of the line to be brought in so that they can quickly return back to the theme, which is Rustin, his sexuality, the absence of the radical politics that as you and Ricky just pointed out there, and all they can get right back to that. So that's so then. What I just wrote in my note here is that by doing this, the film removes Malcolm, previously demeaned by one reference in the mouth of a man depicted initially as brash, but who later comes back to train black cops for Rustin, to be removed, and with him his politics and the purpose of the picnic critique. Robinson then comes back to praise the march Malcolm did in fact call a picnic. And there is no discussion of this omission either of that fact or the fact that Malcolm was actually in D.C. that day. They could have made reference to they left out all of that, obviously by design. Now the quick connection I just wanted to share real quick here, because I thought this was interesting when that I was reminded of. That of the many things that this Cleveland Robinson character did, he was one of the founders of the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, and listed on the original. Under that group's original leadership is my father. So I just thought that was interesting that they were both connected in there. I just throwing that in there as an added little side connection to the film. But yeah, so that was it. That's all I had on that. And that whole Pasadena scene was I thought very. I don't know how true that is. About that Adam Clayton Powell threw in the Pasadena, he was to de-gay shame Rustin into backing down on his, and I just thought I thought it was unfair to Powell and what his history is. I thought it was unfair to what it was meant to represent, I think, in the condemnation of Black Power politics, and I think that there's better ways that they could have dealt with that history and made that point, I think, including the context of Rustin's politics. By the way, one thing I did look up, one other thing, sorry, I did look up, because I raised the question the other day about what I've heard over the years of Rustin's working for the FBI or CIA, and I didn't find too much. There's nothing in that Black Power and Palestine book about it, but this short piece here from Nishani Frazier, December 2017, in Black Perspectives, a great outlet. They will not review my work, admittedly, for whatever reason, or discuss it in any way whatsoever, even when talking about buying power and not doing reviews of actual books, et cetera, and so forth. But nonetheless, they have some very good work there, despite that fact. And in this piece here, the short of it is, the argument is there's no evidence that he was actually working for the CIA. And they target a Muck Rock article, calling it disturbing, making a disturbing claim, and then they say that there's no evidence for such a claim, and go on to defend that point. They do point out later in the article that Rustin may have had some sort of lesser tangential been made use of by the FBI or CIA, but that he was, that there's no evidence that he was actually consciously working as an agent.